Welcome back to the Jeremiah Show. My very special guest, Gui Jaroschy. He is a co-founder for Unfiltered Hospitality. I want you to check them out at unfilteredhospo.com. They got a lot of great services, and I really kind of went down the rabbit hole on the blog. There was a lot of great articles there, and I hope to get into a couple of those because I've got some burning questions. Guy was featured as one of Miami New Times' most interesting people. And I think we're finding out why. You've got really incredible life, my friend, and you're bringing a lot to the business. So we talked about before the break ingredients that a bar, in your opinion, must have to create that one of a kind experience. And you should know because you've created some of the best bar programs in the world. So what do you need to be a bartender? What do you need to be a world-class bartender? What are the
Well,
checklists there?
the checklist there, a world-class bartender. I think in the current top bartender world, it's really comes down to, I think, first really having a great sense for hospitality, because nobody really cares about the drink if they don't care about you. Or I tell people in trainings, like, people like your drink as much as they like you. Um, because we all know there's that sort of, the mixologist trope of the sort of guy with the suspenders and mustache, and they kind of have to get through them to get a tasty drink, but they don't want to. I think now that the drinks world has come along a lot further, that doesn't really fly anymore. You really have to be somebody who is interested in hosting people and listening to cues on where to take them with a drink. And so that's number one. The second piece is having like a genuine interest in sort of flavor and creating cocktails. It can be done with classic cocktails, and that's really just understanding the balance and getting that people part right. But then now there's a world of prep that we've never really seen before in cocktails, where people are using, advanced culinary techniques to get some pretty cool drinks, whether that's, if you've never heard of a Rotovap, that's pretty popular in the 50 best bars these days. That's a little micro distillation tool that can be done at room temperature. Anyway, you don't need a Rotovap to be a great mixologist these days, but you do need to kind of have an interest in, like, in flavor in general, and making delicious things for people. Um, you have to have a pretty strong work ethic, like anything in life. I think if you raise yourself up to a high level, you can't just kind of expect to check in for work, check out and go home and get recognition. I think you have to really, pursue some education, pursue some growth. And then you can still apply that in the classic
Constantly
bartender
be
sense.
improving. Yeah,
Yeah. Constantly be
improving
improving.
yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. And now the newest one is kind of having a little bit of a brand. I think, the people that we really see excelling in every form of hospitality are those people that have really kind of built a brand for themselves, and people kind of want to seek out and recognize them from other platforms, which is something
That's
I'm
interesting.
working on myself.
So build a brand like on social media,
I
and
think
and
to
is
some
that what
degree,
you're?
yeah. And yeah,
Or
I think more than ever, people crave it's not just the brand, it's kind of an authentic brand, but it's sort of like people are looking for personality, or sort of like things to grab onto. And I think, like, the top bars and the sort of most recognized bartenders these days really have a style about them that is sort of that stands out. We could get into specific examples, but I can think of a bunch of, like, that we just had the 50 best bars ceremony a week or two ago, and all of those top bars, more than ever now, really have like a super well defined kind of identity and look and feel and style.
yeah, yeah, that is important. Um, Great tips there. So if you're listening to make, I hope you're making some notes. Those are great tips. And yeah, like you, I like the comparison that, if you want to succeed at anything, you really need to take an interest in it and work hard at it. And that doesn't mean just during the hours that you're getting paid, but afterwards too. The bartenders that I've met over the years that have been really great and have done really well, um, they're working on their craft constantly. They're coming in the bar early. They're shopping ingredients at the farmers market that they can use in their drinks, and finding great glassware and all those things, that all those little details that make them stand out. I like the idea of building the brand too, to get people to your bar and to come and see you. Let me ask you a couple questions that I hear all the time, that servers, when you're training servers or bartenders, or even guests ask. Maybe you can define these for me. I hope I'm not going to put you on the spot too much. So, what is the famous "it's 86" or "we're 86"? What does that mean in a bar? And where did it
It
come from, if you
means
know?
it means we are all out of something. And to be completely honest, I don't know where the term 86 comes from. Do you?
I did at one time, but I've heard two different definitions. One of them was they would break the bottle. There was like, was there a marker, maybe like an 86 or something on the bottle? When it was out, they'd break the bottle. I've heard that. And I can't remember the other one. I should have looked it up myself before I was you. I just
Yeah.
thought maybe you would have a really good story there. How
I, I
about,
I learned it sometime early and never really, I'm sure I
yeah,
did
never held
investigate at
on to
some
it.
point, but I didn't hold on to it. Yeah.
I'm going to find out before we're all finished. Okay. Do you know what a Cenosillicaphobia is?
Cenosillia,
Cenosillia. Oh, so Cenosillicaphobia.
Cenosillia. Wow. Maybe is it about finding a hair in a food or drink?
No, it's the fear of an empty glass.
Oh, wow. Okay,
it
well, I know a
it
lot
is
of
a
people that
thing.
have that. Yeah, or they come
Yeah.
down with that situationally.
I thought this is just a random fact. I love random facts. There are large clouds of alcohol in space. Did you know this?
I had no idea.
It says
Tell me more.
25,000 light years from Earth. So I don't think we'll be catching that alcohol anytime soon and bottling it. But 25,000 light years from Earth and 150 light years across the massive molecular cloud Sagittarius B2 contains an estimated 10 billion liters of ethyl and methyl alcohol.
Wow.
If you caught it, that you couldn't drink it, apparently.
Oh,
Interesting. I
well,
just thought a
bummer.
little bar fact there. Okay, so you partners at Unfiltered Hospitality, Ben Potts. Say his name again for me. I'm going to mess it up, but I don't want to do that to your partner.
Josue Gonzalez.
Josue Gonzalez.
Mhm.
Why did you? Well, how did you all meet, and what led to saying, "Hey, we should create. There's something missing here, and we need to create Unfiltered Hospitality."
Well, so Ben and I kind of go way back. We had some mutual friends. We knew each other. We got to know each other better. He had started a hospitality recruiting company and invited me to lunch as part of looking for who's out there management wise. And we became best buds. A lot, maybe we became good buds over that one. He would probably enjoy if I told the story. I took him shopping for a new blazer. I gave him some tips. But then he was working at several other bars. He did the bar 5-day program, which is a really sort of high level. That's one of the few like true things you can put on a resume, and most bar people, if they know what it is, will be really impressed. We talked about bartending school can be a little bit some a
Mm-hmm.
little bit more of a scam than others, but the bar anyway, he's quite accomplished. And when he went to open his restaurant, Beaker and Gray, he asked if he could come work at Broken Shaker for a couple months while they were getting that open, and a couple months turned into a year or more. And yeah, we became close. But more importantly, when he was working at Shaker, we'd already been probably 2 years on the 50 best bars in the world list. We'd gotten one James Beard nomination, or yeah, semi-finalist. And I thought I was doing it pretty well. And then he would be almost every shift being like, well, if you put this over like that, it would be better. And if you had a better system for this, I wouldn't have to ask you all the time for this or that. And finally, I'm like, look, dude, if you want to do something like this, just do this. And he kind of changed the whole layout and made whole, visual documents on how to set up the wells and what to do here. And like,
I
it
love it.
actually completely changed the way we work at Broken Shaker. And That became kind of a lesson to me on one, what sort of my blind spots are or were, and two, how important it is to kind of let those people in the business that are really excited about one thing or another really take it and run with it. Because even if you have something that's already being successful, it can be that much better if you just kind of let that annoying dude who's telling you that your systems suck, you can make them a lot better. And so anyway, we did a consulting project together in 2015. It went great. And then during the pandemic, when I had left SBE, and he now had a bar and a restaurant, a separate bar, one bar and one restaurant bar. Um, they were closed for COVID, and he got approached about a consulting opportunity, and we decided to do it together. And we were like, man, this works out well. We should do this for a living. And Unfiltered was born. And then Josue came along a year and a half later or so, and we've both worked with Josue in the past. We've been, always really impressed with him. He brings a tremendous like energy and presence and style that Ben and I frankly don't have. And on top of that, he's a good like 10 years younger than both of us. And I think that, in the bar world, you can only have, if two people are going to come in and train and claim to be experts, you can only have one old guy. You have to also have the younger guy that speaks the language of some of those people.
Yeah.
And he quickly proved that like he was just such a valuable asset on the team from a lot of perspectives. And he's always kind of working on making those, like, especially in the training process, kind of making that newer and less, talky like I like to do, and more showy and dewy with people.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so Josue's been a partner with us for the last almost 3 years.
What are some of the most popular services that you guys offer at Unfiltered
So,
Hospitality?
so the sort of the main thing that we do is we call it Better Cocktail Consulting for the sake of having a name for it. And it's essentially, a process where we really come in and, we kind of use like a new cocktail menu as a Trojan horse to bring in all those sort of other pillars that I was speaking about before. Because, you know, something I tell clients if we're on a sales call is that, like, I think a lot of times people think, oh, we need better cocktails. And they think it's as simple as making new recipes. And I'll point to a wall of cocktail books behind me and say, there's thousands of recipes, great ones made by Death and Co. And, whoever. Name your bar or famous bar
Death
person.
and Co. Yeah. Have you
Yeah,
been there, by the way?
I have been, yeah,
Yeah,
and they have a
absolutely.
great, now they have multiple bars with Gin and Luck, their company. They're doing great stuff. But the point is, like, recipes are there for the taking. You can have them online, you can read them in a book, but I think what's most important is that, one, that you kind of develop them from the perspective of what you're trying to put out there to guests so that it feels a little bit more tailored. But two, that you kind of can't have great drinks if they're not coming out consistently, quickly, if the team is not excited about them. So we use Better Cocktail Consulting. Again, we kind of will develop a menu that we're proud of and that many of our clients have gone on to win awards for the beverage program. But none of that's really possible if we just drop oh, here you go, recipes, and you pay us. We kind of need to come in and train and get the team engaged. We need to kind of install the fact that, I had no checklist at Broken Shaker, and we were doing well by sheer will. But if you have those things, you tend to get the results more consistently, and more importantly, you save the mental energy of everybody having to try and remember everything they're supposed to do. They come in more fresh and ready to, like, provide great experiences.
Yeah, that's so
And then,
important for the staff too, from that
yeah,
perspective, the
I
guest and the
I
staff.
yeah, I thought checklists would really drain people, and in fact, it actually energizes people when you get them as a part of just a regular, like, day-to-day thing. And because, like I said, it just makes the questions less, and it makes onboarding of new people easier, and it makes trust of the people that come in before you or after you that much higher, because they just know that their expectations are managed. They're going to come into a thing that's ready to work, and they don't have
Yeah,
to,
ready to go.
finger pointing and stuff like that. So anyway, as you can tell now, I tend to go off on tangents, but essentially Better Cocktail Consulting is the process of making a menu, training it, and then staying on for a bit to make sure that you are tracking it, and really that these changes are taking hold in the business. And so we talk a lot about this world-class beverage program and things, but ultimately it comes down to, like, an engaged staff that is moving it forward and hopefully developing it from, if we launch a menu and day one was its best day and it goes downhill from there, then we've kind of failed. We want to put in a system that says day one was great, and now the team has kind of taken it and run with it, and if anything, made it more and more authentic to the place that it came from.
What do you look for when someone walks in and they sit down and you're looking for a bartender? What is the number one thing you look for off the bat? Can you spot them? Can you spot that's going to be a good bartender, a good employee?
I think there's an attentiveness and an attentiveness to just to detail and a presence to people. I really think that bartending is truly all about being able to keep present. It's like you're going to be very busy, and if when stressed you go down here instead of staying up here and kind of being able to be engaged, that's kind of like the number one thing. Do they want to make people happy, and can they stay engaged, and they seem present? But then we have a little secret weapon also, which is sort of this little practical that we put people through and put them on the spot. Like, we don't expect them to ace it on the first one, but it's basically like a timed round with technique and quality and all that stuff. But even if you didn't have experience, if you show those first two, I think you have what it takes to get to the other part.
Okay, good. Gui Jaroschy is my special guest. Unfiltered Hospitality. Go to Unfiltered Hospo, HOSPO, Unfiltered Hospo. It's on same handle, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. You can find them everywhere. Their services, there's a great blog. I'd sign up if you can, and keep track, especially if you love the bar business and you love what's happening. These guys are on the finger on the pulse of the trends, and we're going to talk trends, bar trends next with Gui Jaroschy. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.